Good morning, everyone. It's Brenda, and I'm here this morning with Saturday Sketch Morning. I picked out kind of a fun sketch this morning. I thought it was fun anyway, and I'm going to put you up on my computer screen, so if you have any questions along the way, you can go ahead and ask them, and then I can always make sure that I'm straight too, or somewhat straight. It never ends up straight. But here we go. Good morning, Kimberly. So I've picked out my pictures and we're gonna trim those in a little bit. And this is the sketch we're working with. And now I picked this sketch because we're learning how to use a sketch, correct? And we want to know how to figure out dimensions and things like that. Okay, so let's take a look at this sketch. We've got 6 elements, and we know that this is 12 inches wide by 12 inches this way. But there's a little space in between, so chances are these elements can be anywhere from 1 1/2 inches in diameter to 1 3/4. So 1 1/2 to 1 3/4. Okay, that's what your elements can be. Now, do they need to be flowers? No, not at all. And so I want you to remember that. The next dimensions I want to look at are these photos right here. Because there's 2 photos in here, I'm going to say that these are either 3 1/2 by 5. They couldn't be 4 by 6 because 4 inches with space in between wouldn't allow you the room to go up here. So maybe 3 1/2 by 5. Okay, so that's could be what that is. I'm going to put at the most 3 1/2 by 5 in that dimension box. But I'm going to be using 3 by 4 photos for this spot. Okay, so you can use whatever you wish. Remember, there's an outside along here, so you want to include that. If you use a 3 1/2 by 5, this is likely going to be 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So 3 3/4 and 3 3/4 is 7 1/2, and then you'd need some space, room for your border, and also room for this. So if you've got the 7 1/2 and leave 1/4 inch, 7 3/4, and then some room above and below, maybe 1/2 inch. So an inch is 8 3/4. Room for your border and room for this. 8 3/4 plus, if we have these at 1 1/2, 3, 8 3/4, you'd be at 11 3/4. That would fit a 3 1/2 by 5. I hope you're all following my math. So this is how I design my own sketches. When I'm sketching them out on paper, I have to figure out what I'm doing for each one so that it all fits. But now that would mean these would have to be 1 1/2. Do they all have to fit right within here perfectly? Absolutely not. Do they all have to be, do you have to have 6? Nope. And does this have to be this large? Absolutely not again. So there's all kinds of different ways you can read a sketch. I am going to read this sketch. Now, we figured out already that this is about a 3 1/2 by 5. You can also use 4 by 6 if you want, and then adjust these according to this. Sketches are not written in stone. That's the thing I want you to learn the most about sketches. It is that sketches are for inspiration, and I want you to take that and use that for inspiration. Now it just so happens that I am going to use 3x4 pictures, but they are vertical. And so I need to turn my sketch this way so that my pictures are up and down. It gives the sketch a whole different look, doesn't it? So will I still use this? I'm going to. I'm going to use it just like this, but I'm going to turn it this way. Now, how will I accomplish that? You're going to need to watch and make sure you see, but I'm also going to eliminate this journaling box right here. And as we create the sketch and I use the sketch this way, I'll show you how I do that. Okay? So it's just a matter of what you want to use. Oh my goodness, we have all kinds of new people here today. I need to say good morning. I need to go back. Hi Bonnie, Stacy. See Kelly. Oh, and Stephanie. Good morning. It's so nice to see you. Okay. I have to keep up with the sketch or it disappears from me. Hi, Jojo. Yes, I agree, Kimberly. Sketches can be used really literally. If you wanted to make a scrapbook page that looked just like this, you could do that. But I also want you to have the freedom to do whatever you want with this sketch. And that's why that's important. Okay, that's why we practice and take a sketch like this and learn how to flip it and use it for your own, however you want to use it. Kathy, Angela, Jan, Shelley, good morning. Okay, because once I get going, I don't look up very often. I, of course, take white as my base, always. And one of the reasons, why do I take white as my base? I'm kind of flipped a little bit here. One of the reasons I take white as my base is because it's a clean palette for me. I like thinking in a clean room. I like thinking in a clean palette. And so I automatically grab white. And that's what I'm going to use today. For my pictures, I chose to grab some Noteworthy paper. So I've got some of the blue plaid with diagonal stripes. And I think I put some green in here somewhere, but we'll see. And then I grabbed the tone-on-tone Noteworthy paper. So that's got a real abstract light blue and dark blue. Here's some green right here. It's got this nice light blue on the back. I kind of want to stick with blue. There's some brown with this mint on the back, island water. Kind of looks like a sea foam. And then we've got some blue diagonal stripes. I know I'm not, or stripes, I'm not going to use that. But I like this white with the blue polka dots on it. So we've got all this paper from Noteworthy to use. And what am I going to use along with it if I want? I'm going to use this blue gradient. Blue gradient was a special where we could buy the gradient papers and all the different gradients. And I picked this to maybe be my photo mats, to be elements on a page, whatever I wanted it to be. I just know that I bought this paper and I want to use it. So if you're like me and want to use your paper, here's a good opportunity when you're using a sketch. Pull out the paper that matches your paper. And blue gradient, of course, matches Noteworthy really, really well. Don't, when you store your paper, I don't know how you store your paper, but I put mine in these simple sleeves. And I think I talked about this before, because then I can just pull my cardstock out and use it. But behind all my blues, I have this blue gradient. Because I have that there, I'm never going to forget that I have it. It's always going to be at the forefront, and it's going to be right there. I'm not going to have to say, oh, I have all this gradient paper and I've forgotten to use it. We don't want to forget how to use it. I'm going to take a second to clean my lenses a little bit. So you're going to see me do that. I feel like I'm a little bit, this is live. You don't know what you're going to get from me live. So there we go. That's my theory on storing paper, so that you never forget that you have these special papers that may only come out for 2 weeks. I want you to use them. If you use them, you're going to need more paper, and there's always fun paper. Now I pulled out my classic mini navy letters and then my ABCs, these larger ones. So I have all that here. What are we going to do for those circles? I don't know yet. I haven't decided. But I'm going to tell you what I pulled out to have. I have my circle punch. I have this punch, and let's punch this one so that you can see what it's like. I bet a lot of you have this one in your stash. It opens up, and you can open it. You can get different items out of here, right? So I'm going to punch it once so you can see. Except that I'm not strong enough in my hand to do it that way anymore. So, oh, I moved the paper. Let's put it in this way. If you have any arthritis in your hand, it's easiest to set these down. Okay, so I've got this round one. Now I'm going to move it to number 2. I thought this was a good way to show this punch in case you have it and haven't used it. That goes down a little further, and you see it brings the little outline and the circle in the middle. And then the third one is all the way down. And look at what you get out of that. You get 3. Now these are very good sizes for what we have on our layout, on our sketch. So let me measure what this is for you if you do use this. This is 1.5. This is going to be a perfect size. These are all 1.5, the largest ones. So it will be perfect for what you want. You can punch another circle in a different color. You can punch this background and then punch that circle in a different color so that it stands out. You can use this in the middle with nothing around it. So there's a multiple of ways you could use this punch and achieve this look just like that. So this is a great punch. If you, I should always check and see if these are on hand before I use them, if we can get them. Now, there's also another way to figure this out. Oh, there's my green. And that is a circle punch. And I've got my blades, and I've got my smallest circle from the circle cutting system, and I'm going to cut the one closest in the middle. I don't know about you guys, but I use this circle cutting system all the time. It is so easy to just crank out a circle, right? And the smallest one is 1.25. So if you wanted to use that punch and wanted to layer something underneath like this, you could use that smallest circle from the cutting system. Or you could use that piece in a different color and put it on top and have small scallops around the outside. The other thing you could do is I used the red blade because that one's closest. Do you guys know how to do this? Someone told me once during a video that they just use it like this. Put it in your housing because that makes it, gives you something to hold. Okay, you flip it over and put it in your housing. Now we can make a little smaller circle. So what I'm trying to show you is all kinds of things that are different. Now we've got this one, which made a smaller circle. I'm going to take this red one. I'm going to show you another option for making elements. And I'm going to go around this circle, which is closer to the inside of the circle cutting system. And look what you have. You have these kinds of circles. I just didn't press hard enough. You have that kind of circle. So you use the one outside first, or further inside, and then the red closest. And that's how you end up with that circle. These are important things that I want to tell you about these elements because I want to give you so much choice that you won't know where to go with this. I'm going to put my blades in here and move that aside. I really like this idea right here, so I might very well be cutting a lot of little circles. Move that out of the way. And then I'm going to show you that I brought in some elements from Noteworthy that could be for journaling. Look at a circle. Look at a circle. This circle is 1 3/4 inches, so just about the right size. And I can cut more of these things down into whatever I wish. These are the embellishments. And then I have the journaling cards that I have. Living my best life, which when I'm on the lake is pretty much what I'm doing. Life is good. Look at this, would make a great circle with this grid in the background. This is our life together. Today's moments, tomorrow's memories. You make me happy. We were here. That looks like a good one to use. Now, you can also use flowers. I could show you a multitude of things. You could use from our floral embellishments, these right here. They are about 1.5 inches. So these could easily be used if you're looking for something that matches. And then if you use flowers, you can always use leaves around them. There's so many ways to go. When you see a sketch, don't get caught in the trap of it needs to be exactly what the sketch says. That's what I want you to learn the most from me today with the sketch, is even if you only watch this and don't create anything, know that your sketches, you do not have to end up with what the sketch looks like exactly. You'll see that I probably won't be using a border punch in this way. To tell you the truth, I'm not a fan of using the border punches that way. I know it's called a border punch, but I don't necessarily like using a long border punch on all my pages. I like breaking them up and tearing them and making them into different things. That's why I'm having my design team do a whole day of how to use punches in ways other than this. So if you haven't heard of Inspired Memories, ask me all about it, or even ask here, because there's probably somebody on here that will answer you and tell you how fun it is. Anyway, I got a little sidetracked there. I want to use this sketch. I'm going to start with my white palette. Now, we know there's some background paper here. I'm going to use 3x4 photos. And I'm going to do a 3 1/8 by 4 1/8 mat. And then a 3¼ by 4¼ because I like to double mat. What about this piece right here? That looks about a ½ inch, doesn't it? According to our sketch. So if we're looking at using this piece right here, and this being 3¼ by 4¼ and then we want to add a ½ inch to each edge, we're going to need this to be about a ½ inch here and a ½ inch there is a full inch. So 4¼ by, and we want to leave a little bit of length to it. I'm going to make that, I'm going to start out at 6 inches and see what I have. I'm going to do that whole thing at 4¼ by 6 so I can see if I like that or if I need to cut it down. I always like to make them a little longer just in case. I might end up cutting this down to 5½. I'm not quite sure yet. You could make it so that it's the same if you're using it this way and you're using 3 by 4 over here, or 3½ by 5. 3½ by 5, that's 3 3/4. We said that was 7¼ so you could make this 7¼ so that it's the same here and here. There are so many ways you can do things, so many ways, and I want to teach you that. Now, from here to here, we said this is about, I can leave about 1 3/4 inches on mine because I'm using 3 by 4 pictures. So we could say that this is, I'm writing on my paper, which will be okay in the end. We're gonna make this about 2 inches and 2 inches. That's 4 inches. So we need about an 8-inch piece of paper right here. Okay, so that's how you figure that one out. Is anybody lost yet? Wendy, hello. Deborah, hello. Yes, that punch is cool, Jojo. You're gonna like it. Hi, Rhonda. Hi, Carol. Inspired Memories is my design team, and I'll put up a little notice after. But Kimberly's on here too, and she can also tell you all about it because she is on my design team. So there we go. 2-inch background, 2-inch background, 8 inches right here. Okay? All right. Am I going to put a background on my white? I don't know. I don't do that very often. And I like to leave some white showing. But we're going to see. We're going to check out this paper. Let's trim down the photos first, or else bring them here so I can see what paper I like with them. Right away, I'm thinking about this paper. I also like, for lake photos, this paper. I could see using that in the 2-inch because that still leaves me white. Okay? Oh, Tammy, how I organize my paper, I put it in these simple sleeves, and I always keep I put a label as far as what's on the cardstock, and then I keep any special papers that match behind the color, and that way I always remember that I have them. Otherwise I might forget. There's also some nice paper in here, but I really want to use this paper for matting. So I think what I'm going to use is this paper on the 2-inch strip, and then on my 8-inch strip, my 8-inch width. Oh, I like that. But I like that. So I have to decide, right? You have to decide. At one point or another, you have to say, well, that's going to be it. I also have this in the gradient, which is pretty cool. I'm going to use this one. Okay, I made a decision. How about that? The pictures are what appears to be a little blurry, but they are not. And the reason is, I need to cut it this way. The reason that they appear to be a little blurry is because we are having some issues with Canadian wildfire smoke here in Minnesota. And so it's not always clear outside, it's a little hazy. Okay, I cut it this way because I am using the paper this way. Okay? And I ended up using that gradient for this anyway. Look at that. Okay, I've got this 8-inch piece that's this wide. I'm gonna do something with this dark piece right here that's going to match. And I am going to move this out of the way. I always like to move it out of the way when I'm using my border punch. I'm gonna grab my border punch and I'm gonna trim this down to about 4 inches because it helps me keep my paper straight, maybe even 3 inches. You know, if you think it's scary listening to my process, imagine what it's like going on in my head while I'm thinking about making a scrapbook page. Okay. You've never used the border punch. It's good to have at least a 3-inch strip. You saw me pull this up from the side. That is our paper guide. Okay, so the paper's in there. I'm going to fold this back out of the way. And here's our border maker housing. I'm going to use this double scallop. And there's a reason I like to use it. You pop it in with the silver out. So many people don't quite know or will accidentally put it in the other way. And how you know is that you need these as guides, okay? And then you can also see the image. So that's how you know you're putting it in right. Now you line this up. There's a little bump right here and a little bump right here. You simply line it up and punch. This is what I always say is foolproof punching. You can't miss. You just keep going up those little bumps and you just keep punching and you get the perfect border every time. We're gonna move all this out of the way, this garbage, and I'm gonna set this aside. And now I have this nice punch border, and you're saying, but there's 2 borders on there. There's a reason that I used this, and that's because I'm going to take my trimmer now and cut that in half down the middle. And I know this is scary for many of you. You always say it's hard to get, many people say it's hard to get that perfect cut. Now, I want to tell you that this line on the left of your cutting mat is the line that cuts, okay? So, you want to line this up right exactly in the middle. You can see that little line on the bottom and the top. Let me see what I'm seeing here. Thanks, Kimberly. It's so much easier if somebody else is answering that question. But I really want people to know about it because it's a good one. It's a really good one. Okay. So yes, there are bumps, Rhonda. It makes it so much easier. And yes, I thought too for my pictures I needed it sideways. Now I've got this in the middle, I've eyeballed it, but if you're not quite sure if that's the middle, you take out the guide up on here and you look to make sure that it's all in the middle. So there's a guide here that's going to tell you if your paper is straight going down the middle. There's also a guide on this end that tells you the same thing. And then, because we don't like to leave you with no way to know, there's guides on the end of the housing. How about that? So now, I'll tell you this too, if you need to hold this straight, if you're really worried that it's going to move while you're cutting it, you can take a little bit of stencil tape, and I've got the white stencil tape from Michael's. You can just hop on Michael's website or go into the store, and you can take a little stencil tape, just you need very little, and put it at the top so it holds it down, and put it at the bottom. Now the reason that I don't put much more tape than that on the printed paper is that this even stencil tape will take off the pattern. So I try to put very little stencil tape on it. But that will hold it down for you, okay? You can use a Post-it note too. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a cut. I also push really firmly to keep it in place and hang on to the side of the trimmer. And look at what I've got. That was a long explanation for getting two pieces out of here, but I think it's good for everybody to know all those little tricks. That's why you come to me. Okay, so now I'm going to take these two pieces and put them on the back of this. Isn't that great? So I've got them lined up. I could flip it over if it was a blue paper and I wanted it. You could also, if you had just a single scallop, you could go ahead and do that. Oh, wrong paper. This one. See how that scallop looks when it's put behind? So what I simply do then is take my repositionable tape and run a line, because I want it on that hole. I don't want there to be any gaps, and so I use a lot of tape on the edge. And then I'm going to flip this over, hold it. I like to flip it over. You can do it the other way. I'll show you the easier way probably, is to put it like this. I don't ever want to miss any of that edging. I want that to be on the back. And so that's why I had it flipped the other way, so that I could see that I didn't get any of that edging. And if I did in a certain spot, like right there, I can lift it up because this is repositionable and straighten that out. So there we go. Now we have this on there. I need my mat back so you can see. Boy, that gradient paper is going to be nice for lake pictures. See? It's going to be a border just like that. And that's how I'm going to do the border on this page. Instead of using those big circles, I'm going to just use this as my border. It gave me, the sketch gave me inspiration to use a border, but the sketch doesn't say on it that the scrapbook police are going to come if you change it. It just gives you inspiration to move forward and do whatever you wish to do with that sketch. I absolutely love, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but I absolutely love when someone takes one of my classes and does something just a little different with it. because then I get to see your creativity. Yes, it is. It's just, Elaine, it is the same as the mint tape. It's just easier to pick up because it's at Michael's. It's a Recollection brand. And they just started carrying it not long ago. Now, you know me. I'm gonna put a little tape on the corners so that my paper holds still, so that I can use the ruler guides. And then we know that this was 8 inches and we need 2 inches off of here. So I'm gonna put this down, this corner at 2 inches and this corner at 10. I'm not gonna put any paper here. I'm gonna leave this absolutely white. I think when you scrapbook, and I believe this to my core, not only does your page have to fit your pictures, but you have to meet your creativity where it's at. It's so important that you bring out your creativity. I think that that is a huge part of why we do what we do. Now I'm going to use some of this blue paper from the Gradient. I'm ending up using a lot of the Gradient and just, I love that. I love when I use up paper. Oh, here, I'll see so you can, I'll bring it over here so you can see how I'm picking things out. I want like a dark, dark blue. A navy, more or less. But that one's nice. And the dots in the back. I need something that's navy all the way through. And if I don't have an option in here, then I'm gonna grab this one. Okay? And I'm gonna cut mats for my photos. And remember I said that I'm gonna double mat, which means my outside mat is going to still be 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, but I need a small mat in between there. And I think this I'll have as the outside one. So I need 4 1/4. And my first one was going to be 4 1/4 by 6. By 6. Let's bring the arm out. Give your arm a push when you bring it out and make sure that you have this foot. Do you know that there's a foot right there? Make sure you have this foot and make sure that your trimmer is level on the table, that it's not wobbling back and forth. Like, don't cut it on your lap like I see a lot of people do, because you need stability and your arm out straight, and you will never have a crooked cut. You just won't with this trimmer. It's just a really good trimmer. And I'm gonna cut this, I'm gonna cut it at 6 1/4 just in case. Okay, and then 3 1/4. I see a problem with my paper choice already. And that is that it's not going to be quite dark enough for my paper. It's not going to be the right tone that I want. So I'm going to play around with this paper a little bit, or I might even pull in this green, because this green is so pretty with that. And green will match my photos are blue and the Poochie and our red. I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna make these my 1/8 inch. And I'm gonna grab another piece of white to be my 1/4 inch. I thought I had another piece of white. Hang on. Okay, so let's make this my 1/4 inch cuts. And let's do 6 1/4. Oh, let's start with the 4 1/4 mark. I can get more paper that way. By 6 1/4. And then a 3 1/4. And I need one more 3 1/4. So then I'm going to cut 3 1/4. This goes in my scrap bin, girls. And then 4 1/4. And this goes in my scrap bin as well, because now I've got a 3 1/4 inch piece for later on use. Now I'm going to cut this down, this blue one down, to 4 1/8. The 1/8 inch mark is the second line. After any number, there is a very tiny line, a little bigger line, that very tiny line again, and then the 1/4 inch mark. The very tiny lines are 1/16 of an inch. The line in between that, that's a little bit longer, is the 1/8 inch cut. And it really helps you to know these measurements, because you'll get the most usefulness out of your trimmer, and you'll be able to do fantastic layers and trim off just little pieces like that if you know where your 1/8 inch cuts are. So I'm going to cut this into 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then I need one more piece of this at 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. Now my paper scraps, my printed paper scraps, don't go in my bin. They have to go right back in my Power Pocket folder with the matching paper. So this will go right back in my Noteworthy. So I did this so that I would have a white background, but I'd still have that nice layer on my page. Okay, so let's get these attached. And then I'll trim down the photos. Okay. I try to teach you a lot of things in the classes. Now, whether it's, you know, how to cut your paper or whatever it is that you're learning, I want you to really understand. Now, on this paper, I'm going to want some journaling space here. I'm not going to trim, I'm going to need to trim this paper so that I can journal on this white space. So I'm going to wait until I have my photo attached to this, cut it down, and then adhere it to the white. Okay, so let's do that. Let's pull out the photo trimmer, which I love, and I hope that you all have. And you all know that there's storage on the back, so I've got 2 pairs of scissors on the back. You can bring this out. It's a full 8 by 10 inches. You bring the arm out just like you would on the other one. This one's pretty firm because it's short. and there's not a foot on this one, but you won't need it. It clicks into place. So this photo trimmer is absolutely incredible. And people have asked me, how do you get a straight cut with this? You hold, once you have your picture in, you hold this down. Your photo is not going to move if you hold that down. Let's see if I have more questions. Yes, it is the best on the market. Hi, Patty. Hi, Lori. I'm so glad you joined us for this first time. I'm going to cut this, bring this to the edge, and that is the edge of this. You'll see it when you're in there. And just swing it down. In the meantime, I've been holding my fingers, and I'm not going to cut my fingers by leaving them there. You're going to cut your fingers if they're over here, but not there. I'm going to flip this around and cut this at 3 inches. And then I want more of the water showing than I do of the boat. And so I've got that, and then we're going to turn it around and cut 4 inches. So you really have the freedom to decide where you're going to start cutting that. Here we go on this one. Let's cut them all at 3 by 4. Our grand doggy absolutely loves the water, loves it so much. And he wanted out on that float with me in the worst way possible. And I wouldn't let him on the float, of course, because he has nails. But he just couldn't even hardly bear to stand me out there. And I should tell you about this float. It is a big rose, and one of my downline, my dear downline, Corey, gave it to me when we had convention. I want more water than I want the smoky, hazy sky. So when I turn that around, I'll cut it at the bottom of the water. This is the picture where you can really see that haze. Poor Canadians. I feel bad that they had all those wildfires. So there's our 3 photos. The only thing I caution you about when you're picking this up is not to pick it up like this under the blade, just in case it moves. I always pick up my trimmer down here because that holds it shut and it's all good to go. Now, I have to decide which picture I want in the main frame, and I think it might be this one because this float was given to me by Corey. So I'm gonna put that on the bigger one and this on here. That nice 1/8 inch edge just is so perfect. Now I have this up a little bit. I'm gonna just grab a little liquid glue and put a squeeze of that. I use Barely Art liquid glue because it gets in such tiny places and it runs so well. Okay, so we're gonna put this picture right here. Let's get some adhesive on there. I love the jumbo tape runner. It's so much more economical. And if you guys didn't get one while it was in, it'll be back in the fall. We just have to wait for it to come. So there's my picture. I'm a little crooked. There's my picture on here. I'm going to tell you guys something after I get these pictures on, and you're going to absolutely shake your heads. But it's okay. I don't mind if you shake your heads at me. let's get this photo centered on here. I want another white mat underneath that. So I'm gonna go into my scraps and I'm gonna cut a 3. Remember I had this 3 1/4 inch left. I don't want it to be 3 1/4. I want it to be 3 1/8. I hope that when I change my mind like this and do different things, it allows you the freedom to do that on your pages. Your pages don't have to be one and done. I also don't believe they have to be done in a hurry, unless you're trying to make something for somebody. I think that our pictures are going to be never ending, and we need to just enjoy the process. So now I've got this piece, and I've got about a 1/2 inch on each side. So I'm going to put this down. I think until the day that we're gone from this earth, we will create memories. And I think that it's important that we just take our time and write our story the way we want to write it instead of hurrying through things. I don't like the 1/2 inch. I'm going to trim this down a 1/4 inch. So I'm going to bring it to my trimmer and cut it down a 1/4 inch. That's much better for me. Now I've got a 1/4 inch all the way around. And I could do the math, and I don't want to do the math. So I'm going to put this in my trimmer with the photo at the end of where that line is. And this end right here on the trimmer, here's a handy tip to know. This is 1/4 inches. So 4 3/8. There we go. Now I have this, and you might be wondering, where is that Polaroid frame going to go? It's going to go just like this. And if I want to cut that down in the end, I can do that as well. But you guys, I'm not real happy with this paper and these photos. So I'm going to take this off. I might just leave it on there. I know some of you are panicking. I can feel it. I can feel you panicking because I'm leaving some other paper behind there. Don't panic. I know where to get more paper. Oh, I really like that. Well, let's cut this and see. So we need an 8-inch width of this. Ooh, that'll bring out the green that's in the water too. The water is kind of it's lake water, so it's not perfectly blue all the time. And rather than pull all this up, I can leave it and just put this right over that blue. However, if you want to pull things up, if you do something like this, just grab a tweezers or this tool. Someone can tell me what it's called. I can never remember. I think it's a multi-purpose tool, but I've been corrected on my videos. So you can just take that and pull it up, and then you can pull your border off because you've used repositionable tape. That's the best thing in the world about repositionable tape. I'm going to do this because I want to show you what I do then. I'm not going to waste that paper. So if you really are panicking over this paper loss, know that I'm not going to waste it. I'll show you what I do with it. Wouldn't you rather see me do things like this than to be perfectly polished and edited? You'd never maybe learn anything from me if I edited and made everything perfect. I like that moment when I look at something and say, oh my gosh, that was perfect. That little change was perfect. That's the beauty of repositionable, my friends. Now I'm going to take this, because this was gradient paper, and I'm going to put it at the back of this simple sleeve with the adhesive down. And I haven't wasted that paper at all. It's right there. Okay, so now let's start all over again. Let's get this some adhesive on here. These pictures would have been nice on All American Blast too. So if you have lake pictures, know that All American Blast will work very well. There's actually, we have a lot of papers that this would work on. Alrighty. Oh, Patty, Buddha perfectly polished. You know from my videos, even my recorded videos, that I am never perfect. Hi, Rose. I know, Kimberly. Chester is just a crazy dog when it comes on the boat. Comes to the boat, and he's going home for a while. We've had him while Shane's been out of town, but now we have to say goodbye to him this afternoon. Just for a week or so. Then he'll be back for a couple days. Okay, so there I've got that border on there. Oh, Pamela, I'm glad you appreciate the explanation. Do I print my own pictures? Normally, yes, I do. When I want them this quickly, I do print them on my own, but I just sent in a great big order to Creative Memories and had them print 650 pictures from our trip to Mexico this year, and our convention, our Rose Blossom convention, and you know, the everyday and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't had a chance to look at all of them yet, because that's quite a few pictures, and I just got them. But I just put them all in a photo organizer, and I'm hoping to be very delighted, because I've seen the pictures that they've print, because I do some marketing work for Creative Memories, and they send me and build workshops, and they send me photos. Oh, I'm so much happier with this, you guys. This makes me happy. So I'm gonna put this down here. Look at how that green tone just picks up on the lake. I am going to put this up here. See how I can use that? Photo frame still, only I'm going to bring this down to 1/4 of an inch. So I want 1/4 of an inch off there. Always veer towards the larger piece. And then I had this at 6 1/4. I want to cut it down to 6. So I'm taking, oh, I took 1/2 inch off of there. How does that work? Oh, that'll work just as well. Oh, good thing I took 1/2 inch off. We're going to take 1/4 of an inch, which is the edge of the cutting mat, and take that off. So that gives me that 1/8 inch border that I have on my other pictures. Oh yeah, that works just fine. So Deborah, that's where I had a big mass quantity of pictures printed. They're 25 cents a print. Shelley, I would do that too. Yes, I know. Yes, it's the multi-purpose tool. Good, thank you, Gina. I still don't know all the names. I should, but I don't. Yes, and this is why we use repositionable. Oh, Patty, I'm so glad. That makes me happy that it's okay with you, that I do last minute changes. Now I have this incredible place up here for journaling. And I think I'm going to put this on this side because I just saw this card again. These are 6 1/2 inch cards. This is going to cut at 3 1/4 and cut that right off. And I've got "We Were Here" to put on there because we were there. And I still have that "Life is Good," living my best life. Oh, we could do all kinds of things. Now I'm going to adhere this, but I'm not going to adhere the card yet because you know what? We still have all those elements to do on the side. And I have open scallops on the side. So I really think I do want to, I'm not very good at doing crooked things, you guys. It messes with me. I need to have my photos straight. I just like straight. But I could do these. These I would consider doing if I straighten that out. Oh, I like that. And then room for an embellishment in between. Or a title up there. Let's see. Down lower, up higher. Yeah, I think that's where I can put my title. Okay, but let's think about this for a minute because I don't want to put anything down until I've got what I want in there. And I think I'm going to go with those open circles. I really like those open circles. So I need to move this off the page. I also have a bunch of stickers and embellishments from Noteworthy. Celebrate days like these. I can have summer on there. I've got the regular stickers. Hello July, because that was in July. Just chilling in a little float, beach, flowers on here. I've got a ton of things I can use to embellish these pages. But let's cut some circles. I'm not going to cut that many though. I don't want that many. All I want is 2 circles up here and 2 circles here. 3 at the most for me. So, and what am I going to cut that out of? We need to have a paper that I like with this. I kind of like that green with it, and I think in a circle it's gonna look really nice. Let's take this and cut the inside circle first. And that was the green blade. Push it out of your housing and tip it upside down, and they're meant to be kind of tight. Okay, I'm gonna move this up a little bit, make sure you can see it, and still make sure I can see it. So we've got that inner circle cut out. Now I'm gonna take the red oh my goodness, look what I did. That happens to me. Just so you know, that happens. Okay, now let's get this red. Make sure I'm in there good. Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing, you guys? Okay, let's try this again. Make sure there's nothing on my blade. I don't see anything. Okay, there we go. There's one. And I didn't press it hard enough. So I need to press harder. Okay. Okay, just keep working on your page while I'm doing my circle thing. Okay. That's much better. I forget that I have to press hard. And again, arthritis. But these circle cutters are so easy to use. Really, they are. And you can use them where you want, so that you have, I'm gonna keep these small circles too, because those are gonna be helpful to me. Green first. And then the red. Could be I've used these so much too that I need a new blade to sharpen. So you can buy just the blades you need, you know, like you can buy a red or a green or a blue, whatever you need. So how many of you like golf? That's a funny question to ask right now, isn't it? My son is at, the reason that we have Chester today is he is at the 3M Open, the PGA tournament. He works for 3M. So he is there representing 3M at the tournament, along with his co-workers. And it's a hot day. I don't envy them. I don't envy the golfers at all. It's very hot and very humid here in Minnesota. The humidity is as high as the temperature, and that's just always an uncomfortable situation. That's why we like to go in the lake. So I've got 6, and I said I only wanted the most 3 on each side, so I have everything that I need. I think I have to look into a new blade, but at least I can trim it down like this. I use my circle cutter a lot. It is so easy to pull it out and to make a quick circle. So much easier than loading up a circle on the Cricut, finding it on your, it's just easier. So there we go. Circles are cut, you guys. And I'm going to flip them over so that I don't end up getting cut myself. And I'm going to bring my page back. Now, I like a linear layout, but I'm really not thrilled about how linear this looks. So I need to do some things that make it a little different. I need to offset these just a little bit and take up that 2-inch space on the side. And these aren't necessarily going to be straight. Because it adds to the fun of the water if I make them a little bit off. So you see what I've done is I've taken this original sketch. I've got borders built in. I'm using the circles, just not in the way that they were suggested. I flipped it this way and flipped this picture this way so that I could still have a journaling box and then look at the circles. I have all these circles too if I want to use somehow, and I still might. But I'm going to go ahead and put these photos down. Oh, I should look up. I do need to look up once in a while. Oh, thank you, Patty. We like doing inspired memories. Oh, Carol, I'm so glad this is the first time. And you've learned a lot? Good. Through all of my, well, not mistakes. There are no mistakes. Yeah, Teresa, I think I'm wearing out my blades. I'm not a fan of golf either. So I get it, but Shane has to be there. And it does look like Olympic circles. You're right, Elaine. So we're Olympians in the water. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put these down. I've caught up, which I like to do because I'm always concerned that I'm not answering all the questions that needed to be answered. By offsetting that off the scallop a little bit, I keep a linear look, but I also am able to add a little interest to the page. And that green, this green back here was the perfect choice. Okay, so now I've got the bottom pictures on here. I want to put this top one. But because I don't want this layout perfectly square, and it wouldn't match if it were perfectly square because we've got the scalloped borders and the circles. So that's why I need to put it just a little bit off from the end of this one. But I like it straight. So, and I'm lining things up with the dots on the paper. So now I want to, I'm going to put these circles down first, and to do the circles, I'm going to use my Barely Art liquid glue. I'm going to shove everything over. My desk is messy. Bring out my craft mat, which I'm so sad that I cut through the other day. I was using the circle trimmer, and I completely forgot that I wasn't on the cutting mat. I don't know why. I was right next to it here. Okay. So I've got that one up kind of right in the middle. See how fine of a line that this can give you? And that's why I like Barely Art. It also dries clear and doesn't show on your paper. So it's it's called Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. And I just buy the mini one because the mini one lasts so long. You can get it right on Amazon. I've never seen it sold in the stores. Now this one I want almost right to the edge. I want it kind of offset from that top one. And I still might use those inside circles along with these. Who's working today? Who's working on the layout? Okay, Annalise, if you're out there, I know you are. Shelly, are you? Teresa? It's always good to see what you guys make from these. I have one more Saturday morning sketch day next Saturday, and then we'll take a break for August. I don't know about you, but August is a busy, busy month for us. And we all want to be outside catching the last bit of summer. So I've got those down. Know with Barely Art glue, if you end up getting it, which I think everyone should have this, is that when something's down, it's down. Okay? Now, what I think I'm struggling with here is the size of the card. So I'm not sure I really like this card. But if I use it, I need to cut it down somewhat. So let's look at what else we have here. I love the Life is Good. Living my best life. Let's do this. Let's try this one. I'm going to cut this card down. Oh, and always keep these. They make really nice pieces for your pages. Now I need to make sure I don't cut off that F that's coming down there. And let's see if this is too big. Let's see what happens if I do this, if I dovetail. Bring it off the page a little bit, or if I bring it up just a little bit or down just a little bit. I want to reserve the right to use this. I love this. That's funny, I have to tell you, I'm going to reserve the right to use this. because it just might be the perfect touch. It's too... takes part of my journaling space away, and I really think I want that journaling space. So down here it might work well. You can still see Jerry and Chester. I don't know yet. I don't know, maybe I'm gonna use this one right here. Or maybe I'm gonna use Life is Good. Or, what do we got in here? This was fun, runs into that color. That same color. I could ink the edges if I wanted to. I could use another journaling space. Ooh. And let's grab this dark blue. My friend Jill always says it's like shopping your own embellishments. And I feel like she's right. You're looking through your embellishments and shopping through them to get exactly what you want. Oh, that is nice. That is really nice. I would have to cut Life is Good. You have to make a choice sometimes. Go up with this. So far, I'm liking that. And I'm going to grab one of these flowers in blue. See what happens when you shop your embellishments? You never know what you're gonna find. Now, where did I put those circles that I might want to use, that I want to use now? They're gonna be under something, I know. I don't know. They got lost on my desk here somewhere. But I can also use these because I seem to have a lot of those flowers left. Or I could even use these inside. That might look kind of fun too. There's all kinds of things that you can do. And you know where I'm going to journal? Right down the side, either down this side or down this side or both. Or I can take this "We Were Here" card out and use something just a little darker and put a tag in there to journal on. I can also, if I don't have, oh, I like this one, notes, like a notebook paper. I keep coming back to this card because I like it. And I like that lake, and I have some things to say about it. So let's get all this other mess out of the way that I've been shopping. And let's just, I'm gonna make the decision. After I dovetail it. If you ever read my directions and you wonder, what is she meaning by dovetail? This is dovetailing. You just cut a small line up the center and go towards the middle. And you've got a nice dovetailed cut. Looks like a dove's tail, and it adds a little bit of interest to your page. Cut a little off the top here. Kind of even that out. Anything that you do to your paper that's just a little bit different adds interest to your page and makes you stop and look just a little bit differently. And that dovetail was the perfect little addition. Okay, I'm pulling the plug, you guys. Well, it's repositionable, so I'm pulling the plug as much as you can with repositionable. And I'm going to leave this empty for journaling. And "This was fun" is going to go down here. And it's going to kind of sit right between the two. Could even go over here. That would make more of a nice triangle. And I think there's a misconception that you have to leave everything showing in the picture. That is not true at all. It's not true. Here, I'm going to do something though. You can cover, if you cover an arm or cut something off, it's not going to ruin your layout. It's not going to take away from your story. That's what's most important to remember, is that it's not going to take away from your story. The pictures are supporting pieces in our story. They are not the whole story. Our words are our story. Oh, I love repositionable, don't you? Oh, I had this over a little bit. I must have had them further away. Okay. As much as you can. Now that's perfect. I'm glad I switched them. This was fun. Now we're building that visual piece that brings your eye across the page. And I have all of this for journaling so I can tell the story of the day, where we were, not just the date and where we were, but where we were and why we like that lake. And that Chester, this was his first time he jumped off the boat into 40-foot deep water. That's a big deal for a dog. There's no place for them to put their feet and rest. And so he actually learned this day, and I wish I'd have had my camera in the water so that I could have taken a picture of this. He learned that day how to climb the ladder on the boat. He actually would get tired swimming and go over to the boat ladder and put one foot after another and climb up back into the boat. He's a smart dog. So anyway, that is a story to tell. And if I don't have enough space right here, I've got all this space and this space. But let's take a look at stickers again. We've got Hello July, which matches this. And I'm gonna put it right on the edge here. I had a lot of water to show in this picture, and now I've got the month on here. Have you looked at those stickers very much? We have monthly stickers in those. I need a little bit of foam tape under that so it doesn't bend down. Oh, our stickers are so sticky, which they should be. That's a good thing. Just don't push it down like I did and then expect to pull it up. Yeah, that gives me the height that I need with photo right there. Oh, I should probably check what you guys are saying. Christina, you support my decision. Yay. You're working on one. Shelly, you're working. Nedra, you're working. Yeah, Robin, I use repositionable for everything except those small little places. And then I use the Barely Art. Andrea or Adrian, you're working. Annalisa. Oh, you're gonna go create then, Stacy. I'm so glad. Oh, Denise, I'm so jealous. 5 days. We get that coming up soon. April, you're watching? Yes, there's a lot of vacations, isn't there, Deborah? Shelly, you're embellishing now but getting too fussy. Well, have you seen what I've been doing? There's a lot of fussiness going on here. Cheryl, you are. Martha, you just got back from Europe. Oh, wow. You should go get some of the Passport to Adventure paper before it's gone, because it's crazy that how good that would be for Europe. Ah, Elaine. Hi, Linda. Okay, so we've got this rather plain looking piece right now, which I'm fine with. I love plain pages. But I think because I love flowers, I'm gonna put some flowers in here somewhere. Maybe right on the edge of the journaling block and right in there. And then I'm gonna put some of these little ones here and there. Maybe right in between the circles would be good. And I need something up and over here, so let's look at those circles. This stickers don't quite have the colors that I want in there, and these are definitely not the last days of summer. I'm going out in that lake again on Monday. Pull that up, put that flower down, and grab a leaf to put behind it. Okay. Yeah, Robin, with Barely Art, I love it for the tiny little things like these, and tiny little things like, you know, if you have edges you want to put down, like I did that earlier, I pulled out my Barely Art. If there was just a corner sticking up and you can't quite get your adhesive under there, because let's face it, I pull apart layouts a lot, and I need to have the ability to have something small. I think I'll put some 3D foam on. No, maybe I won't, because I didn't put it anywhere else. Okay. Creative Memories is just giving us so much fun to use. And grasp onto that, hold on to that, because you should probably hold on to your hats, because there's a lot more fun coming our way. And it's just that we want to be here for the best part of it and for getting the best things to scrapbook our stories. And I think we're really getting it with Creative Memories. I'm going to tuck this under here, I think. Yep. That tucks nicely under there. So you see, when we started with the sketch, we had all these circles down the side, or flowers, or whatever you wanted to make. And I've completely taken this sketch and made it my own, absolutely my own. And that's what you should do with every sketch you find. Now I want to give you a little bit of an assignment after this. I want you to go to Pinterest and put in sketch or scrapbook sketch or whatever you want to search for, and look for a sketch without the dimensions, just without the dimensions at all, and then create it. Read the sketch like we did at the beginning and create a page out of that. I've got a little excess off of here. And you will be able to do it, all those sketches. Or maybe you've got a magazine that you like, that you want to grab a sketch out of, but there's no dimensions there. I'm going to use the Honeybee Americana gem stickers, and I like these because they have the red, white, and blue and gold, and like a light blue and silver, and we've got that little bit of red in that rose. So I want to take that, and I'm going to use the smallest ones. I also like small little gems. First, let's put them down here. Let's get these. And let's take a small red. Oh, that's having just that little bit of red. You may have wondered why I didn't use red, because I had that red rose. Because it just wasn't the right color for me to use for these pictures. Because they're the lake, I wanted something completely different. Now I'm going to put a gem up on here. Just kind of stick it right down there. And right here or here. I'm going to put the red one up here, but then I'm going to grab another blue one, still the smallest. They're my favorite. And stick it down there. And if I want, I can go back there and put some gems. Let's see how I feel about it. And I truly do mean feel about it, because I have to feel right about what's left on the page. And there we go. My page is done. It is completely ready to go into my scrapbook, and after I tell the story, of course, to write on there and tell the story of that day on the lake with Chester and him learning how to climb the ladder of the boat. And I used this sketch. Well, actually, I used this sketch and made it all my own, completely my own. Let's go. Yeah, Martha, those are great stickers to have. Yes, Deborah, we need to write in. I say that almost every video. We need to write into Creative Memories and have them bring back the thin 3D foam. I have some of it, but I'm also still using some from close to my heart. So now, Deborah, when you go to Pinterest and see a sketch that you like, you can easily redo it to be your own, because here we started, I showed you how to figure out dimensions, but I ended up turning mine this way, still having this Polaroid block in it, still having borders that I like. I didn't want a big border, and having some kind of dimensional piece on the side without having to fill it all up. And my title, well, we were here, Hello July, and this was fun. Perfect. Perfect for my book, and something I like a whole lot. I'm gonna do the journaling right away, and then I'll post this picture on this page. This video will be here. I'm looking at these to put right there. You just never know what I might do. Today's moments, tomorrow's memories. I don't know. Maybe I'll put nothing. But it will live on Facebook here for 30 days. And then it's going, today I'm going to put it right on my YouTube channel. So it'll be on my YouTube channel at My Paper Crafting Life. And you can find it there anytime you want to go back to learn these techniques over again, or if you're doing it later, it's going to be there for you to see. So there you go, my friends. I just had so much fun doing this. I know it took a little longer than last week, an hour and a half we were today, but it was worth it for me to take that hour and a half and to figure out exactly what I wanted and to have a page done. And remember, it's not a race. It's never a race. It's just a matter of getting your stories on paper so that your future generations can look back on those memories too. All right, my friends, go create. It's good for your soul. I'll talk to you soon.